Welcome to Made in Japan, a paper straw podcast production. I'm here with Christian. How you doing, Christian?
Very good. How are you? How was your week?
I'm good, man. It's rainy, pretty rainy. I got I got my birthday dinner tonight with my mom, so that'll be fun. Which hopefully, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe it's not. Who knows? But um yeah, it's nothing much really to talk about other than that. I don't know. What's going on with you?
Same old, same old. Got a few purchases in for my collection. How about you? Do you have any manga suggestions for this week?
I'm still reading. I mean, you saw the big ass tome I was reading,
Yeah.
but I always recommend Blood on the Tracks. I don't know if anyone's really going to like it other than me. It's like, let me see if I could read the description. And yeah, Blood on the Tracks is literally the first thing that comes up for me.
Okay, don't tell us the genre yet. I want.
No, I mean that's actually kind of the punchline. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know this manga?
I don't. That's why I want to guess the
Okay.
genre. So,
Synopsis. Okay. Blood on the Tracks is a manga by Shuzo Oshimi that follows the relationship between a middle school student, Saiichi Osabe, and his overprotective mother. The story begins when Saiko throws Saiichi's cousin off a cliff after being tired of his dangerous jokes.
Jesus.
Uh, Saiichi slowly realizes that his extreme dependence on his mother is not normal. So, how do I explain this? It's
To do as
kind
an
of like
Oedipus.
horror. It's more of a psychological thriller, which I think is like better than horror in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
the creepiness, the just like one of the first panels. It's not like the first panel, but one of the first panels is like the son and the mother being really weird and touchy. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like it's I don't know how to explain it. You have to just see it. It's just so weird. You're just like, what the fuck? Like I don't know. And I've only read the first volume. I've only read the first volume, and after that, I was like, I need like a palate cleanser. I need a break. I haven't touched it in a while, but
Like
it's
how
actually relatively
extensive?
recent. I think it came out. Yeah, it was serialized in 2017, so it's relatively newer. But
How
highly
extensive is
recommended if
the
you
mommy
like.
complex? Like how extensive
What?
is the mommy complex in the manga? Like
What?
the main character is a mommy complex, right? What do they call that? Oedipus complex?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it goes that far. I don't know if it's like he's in love with his mom, like to that degree. It's more of like he's just a mommy's boy. Like you had it right the first time. Like he's more of a mommy's boy as opposed to just like in love with his mom. I mean, maybe it grows into that. Maybe there's more stuff after what I've read, but from what I like, at least the first volume, it was like he was just like super attached to his mom. And despite being like I don't know, they don't really say his age, but he's like middle school. He's middle school, whatever. I don't know, but it's really weird. It's really weird if you like weird shit and you like kind of horror and unsettling shit. You'll like it. It's good. It's good. It's
Is there any similarity to anime or manga that actually is in the mainstream right now?
for that.
Yeah,
What
for
do you
that.
mean?
Do you see any similarities like being a
No,
psychological? None?
no, no. I mean, there's not many good horror or psychological or anime, manga, whatever. Um, that's just known. There's never really been any good horror or thriller. Oh, maybe a thriller, you could say, but yeah. Um, yeah.
What's the name of the title again for our audience? Oh, I mean,
Blood
what's the
on the
title?
Tracks. Blood
What
on
are
the
the
Tracks. You're gonna have to. I forget. I'm gonna say what the Japanese name is, but I guess it doesn't matter. It's Blood on the Tracks. Chino Wadachi. I don't. I probably butchered that. Chino Wadachi. Blood on the Tracks. It's weird. Love it. I love it. I always recommend that one because no one like everyone's thrown off. Like, what the hell? What are you talking about?
I may have to check it after our
I
show.
recommend. I'm sure you can find it. See, I'm very particular in how I digest manga. Like I like physical. I know a lot of friends of mine, they have tablets, they read on the tablet or Some people read on the PC, I don't know. Or even their phones. Some people read on their phones. I can't do that. I need the physical book in front of me. I actually was it like last year, I think, maybe even
Yeah.
before that. I started reading Berserk because that thing's so long, but I started reading that digitally and I just kind of fell off. Like I was like by, I don't know, volume 40 or something like that. I just, I stopped reading, honestly, just because it was just difficult to read on digital. I just like the physical thing. But
Yeah,
those
the art.
longer manga are kind of hard. What's that?
Yeah, the art style feels like something from the 90s, actually.
Yeah. Blood on the Tracks. Yeah. It's another reason why I like it. Yeah. It's a good one.
So, yeah,
It's a good one.
it has a psychological horror vibe to it. Like
Yeah.
the line work is
Yeah.
actually
I wouldn't call it horror though. Like it's not really
the vibe.
horror. It's more thriller than it is horror, but
The vibe is just seeing a page of it without any text.
yeah.
It's actually
It's
pretty.
weird. I like it. Really well drawn too, clearly. Like very well drawn.
So what's our agenda for today, Ryan? We're gonna be doing a special today, right?
Is it a special? Like I mean, I guess so. Like
Yeah, in the spirit of Netflix going for a second attempt at a live action, and hopefully it's gonna be as successful as One Piece. They're gonna be doing Yu Yu Hakusho, which I think is among your favorites.
damn, I was trying to look up to see. So this October 10th will
Yeah,
be the 11th anniversary, right? If I'm doing the math right, or 20, I'm sorry, not 11, the 20
20.
something, or even 30 something. I suck at math. So
I think it's
1992 it came out. So it's going to be, yeah, 31, right? 31.
yeah, 31.
That's
The
crazy.
32nd anniversary
That's
of
crazy.
Yu Yu Hakusho. I think the first was he the first protagonist wearing green? Because there's been a lot of them gone from Hunter x Hunter. This one.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the same author, but
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna be doing a retrospective review for Yu Yu Hakusho now. So uh, as a first question for you, Ryan, what attracted you to the? I think did you start with the manga or the anime?
no, I didn't actually. I mean, so when I was a kid, I didn't watch Nickelodeon. I didn't watch like typical cartoons and stuff. Like I was kind of watching like DBZ. I mean, I say that, but like most people watch DBZ when they're a kid, but Cartoon Network is like where I watched all my content back then when I was a kid. And yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of like the other shows that were aired then, like Inuyasha, like Rurouni Kenshin,
Yeah,
stuff like that. But I think the big one, I mean, beyond DBZ, I think DBZ, everyone, it's those that like watched it back then, it has like a special place in their heart. But Yu Yu Hakusho was on that list. Yu Yu Hakusho was played on Cartoon Network back in the day, and that's kind of what first got me into anime to begin with. And I don't know if like back then I knew that it was like Japanese made.
yeah.
But yeah, so around I want to say God 2017, around then is when I started collecting the manga. I started reading the manga. I actually you can see back there I have a Hunter x Hunter as well.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I think Hunter x Hunter is good, but it's not as good as Yu Yu Hakusho. Yu Yu Hakusho, and I think it goes back to just the nostalgia thing, but Yu Yu Hakusho, it has this like style to it, this pizzazz that like it can only provide, I think. God, there's a great video. There's this guy named Internet Pit Stop. He made a great video about fashion and anime. And I think one of his biggest like examples was Yu Yu Hakusho. I think we talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
How Yu Yu Hakusho is one of the few anime that really brought out the fashion like world. Like,
I think for the men in anime, I
yeah,
think Hakusho is the one. Because for the
yeah,
women, I think it was Sailor Moon that actually introduced them
yes,
Japanese
yeah.
fashion women.
Well, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure can also be attributed to that to some degree too. But the Yu Yu Hakusho def because it's like every character has their own like style. Like Hiei was just the very reserved. He was always in black, and never really wearing. He was always wearing the same thing essentially too. Like whereas you had Kurama, who was a bit more flashy sometimes, and these people, it's because in most anime they never change their clothes. Like look at One Piece, right? I think you brought that up about the live action, how they actually did change their clothes in the live action, right?
They
To
did
a degree.
change it to a degree with every episode, I think. Which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
actually
So it wasn't just like
Kurama did
one
that too.
outfit,
Yeah.
which can kind of throw you off, right? I mean, we laugh at Pokemon, how Ash never aged, right? And we kind of just like live with that. Most anime, they never change their clothes and they're just like it's always the same character, which is a little like it throws you off, but like for the most part, they're either wearing like their student clothes or whatever, like Yu Yu Hakusho. So that green
I think
jacket, that's his uniform for school.
I think it's about the familiarity when it because these things actually started in manga, which are actually drawn, and if things
Yeah,
are actually sketched out, it's hard to find your main character in a group of drawings if you don't have something that's distinctly familiar to them. Like if
yeah.
they simply change clothes between chapters, you don't necessarily actually find them in a frame, which is actually a reverse for some people because if you think about let's go to WWE for instance. The main reason why the wrestlers actually changed their gear was actually for marketing and merchandising, so they could sell a lot of toys, right?
Well, it's similar to what's it? I'm trying to think of like a really good example. Like, but I mean, Star Wars is a great one, right? Star Wars, they're always changing stuff, or even actually, you could say like the MCU, probably the better one. In the
Yeah,
MCU, there's always some new costume, some new, alteration to a character's design. Look at Spider-Man. Spider-Man has how many different suits, like a
like
shit ton. And
as many as Iron Man, I think.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Think about it.
Another great example, Iron Man. Yeah.
So yeah, they have the iconic clothes for Yu Yu Hakusho, like the green, the is it red for Kurama, right? Then the black and the blue. That's
I'm
those are
trying to
the
think. Yeah,
or
yeah,
was it
green or blue. He's blue. Kuwabara. I'm sorry. I
Kuwabara?
always mix up Kurama and Kuwabara for some reason, just because their names are so like relatively close.
Yeah,
But yeah, Kuwabara wears like the blue outfit, and Kurama and Hiei don't even go to the same school. So they don't really have like that same uniform, right?
yeah.
That's why they don't really wear the same, like, I guess, design. But yeah. I mean, well, before we even get into it, what's your favorite? Who's your favorite character?
For Yu Yu Hakusho,
Yeah.
Kurama.
Yeah, yeah, he's all right. He's cool. I like the I'm more like Yoko, honestly. Yoko is cool as hell.
Yeah,
I
Yoko
think
Kurama is actually my favorite character. I think my
yeah,
second one would be uh, I think Yusuke would be the second one.
really. No, Hiei is my favorite character. He's just like doesn't give a fuck. And towards the end of like the whole arc, it's like he kind of just goes his own way, but he still
Yeah,
boys with Yusuke to a degree. There's several scenes where it's like just stay the fuck out of my way. Essentially, he is such like a obviously he's a Vegeta, like, you know what I mean. He's an archetype to that
yeah.
degree, but he's like but he does it in a different way, if that makes sense. Like he's still respectable, whereas Vegeta is just kind of a dick, just all the time. You know what I mean? He literally has like a character arc. Like he actually evolves over time, I think. He was very brooding and silent like the first several episodes, and he kind of grows into his character, more profound character, I think,
And if
towards the
you
end of it.
moving forward to the episodes, like you suddenly discover that his attitude towards humans and actually creatures, all in all, is actually just based on his circumstance. It's not actually a
Yeah.
natural thing to hate. It just
Yeah.
so happens that it, based on their culture, he wasn't actually allowed to be alive. That's a sad thing to actually discover when you grow up, right?
Yeah. Oh,
That
yeah.
that were
Yep.
you were not allowed to be born. which brings us to like I said, Kurama is actually my favorite character. I gravitate more to those that have level heads. And I think was there an
Hmm.
episode where she actually or he actually loses it when it comes to his powers? And I'm sorry if
Kurama?
yeah, if I'm intersecting Kurama with his and her, because in our country we made an I think it's an error when it comes to our dub that the first dubbers uh of Yu Yu Hakusho here in the Philippines actually thought Kurama was female.
Yeah, it's interesting. We could talk about that too. Even how Yu Yu Hakusho is very light on the like. Yeah, I guess even like there's a lot of anime from that. I'm trying to think like, other than obviously Sailor Moon, like there's not many anime that had like women like in the spotlight. If you think about it, like I guess you could say
Yep.
Botan is relatively important, but she's never in any fights or anything. It's actually kind of interesting now that I think about it. Like none of the females in that show, except for Kuwabara's sister, are like cool
Keiko.
to some degree, right? I mean, Botan's kind of cool, but I don't know. She's
Like
literally death.
she's a less uh, she's a less irritating comic relief, I think, for the show. Like
Yes.
it's been in the
Yeah.
later episodes that I actually found out that she was actually death. I was too young
Yeah.
when this actually came out, but the anime I think was a phenomenon here in our country because it actually took the country by storm. Like the moment that it actually showed, and it was actually uh shown in a lesser known network here in our country, and everyone in the country actually knows about it. Like even my mom actually watched it, and I think the reason why
Wow.
people actually gravitated toward it during its first airing, like the first episode was actually pretty grounded.
Yeah.
It was actually based in the real world, and my mom actually lost track of the episodes moving forward because it suddenly went fantastical with the spirit element. Like,
Yeah. It's
eh,
funny you say that. That's like a kind of like a not necessarily a problem I have, but it would have been kind of cool to continue that. So, have you ever seen Supernatural,
I've been
the live
trying to
action?
watch that
It's like,
series. I haven't.
yeah. The first season of that, I mean, after the first season, things got a little too crazy, but the first season essentially is just two brothers investigating the literally supernatural. You know what I mean? Like they're literally like detectives, kind of. Like, have you ever
Like
seen Angel? Kind of like
is this the
Angel a
Win?
little bit.
What was their name? Are these the Winchester
Oh, I
brothers?
I forget the brothers' names. I forget. I forget. I actually might have the DVD somewhere. I think I have the DVD of the first season, but besides the point. Um, they're like that type of like detective work. Like literally, he's Yu Yu Hakusho's spirit
Yeah,
detective. I wish they stuck on that a bit more, if that makes sense. Like
yeah. It's the same thing.
mystery stuff, like him investigating and stuff like that. Like they didn't really stick on that for very long. Like he was like this spirit detective that just kind of evolved into like now you're in tournaments. You know what I mean? It's just like
Like
what?
I kind of agree with you because I kind of thought this would be like, oh, he's basically spirit detective or a Batman type of person that would look into crimes done by demons
Demons.
and such. Sometimes maybe with the help of humans. I thought that would
Yeah.
be it, but all of a sudden they turned into Dragon Ball Z.
Essentially, yeah. Essentially. I think, yeah. It
They
yeah.
turned into
It
everything that One Punch Man was actually parodying.
yeah. Yeah. Not
But
that it's not good.
no,
Yu Yu
I'm not.
Hakusho, I think actually, I mean, it's still to this day regarded as having the best tournament arc. It's like when you want to do a tournament arc, you look at Yu Yu Hakusho for inspiration, I think, personally. Maybe you could say Dragon Ball to some degree, like the first, Dragon Ball. But Yu Yu Hakusho has pretty, and just like the nuances. I mean, I'm sorry, if you haven't seen Yu Yu Hakusho, there's gonna be spoilers. So
It's been
just
31
letting you,
years.
yeah, letting you
Like
know now. Probably
if
should
you
have told you
haven't
that
watched
before,
it
but
by now, you're not gonna
yeah.
watch.
Um, so Yusuke's, I guess, mentor to some degree, which is pretty sick how he gets the mentor to begin with. But
Yeah.
Genkai eventually finds a mentor in Genkai who has her own kind of history with the villain of the show. So it's really like you have that nuance there of like them fighting in this tournament, and you still have like the main villain of the show being relatively close, like very close with Yusuke's mentor. Like
They were
I
able
don't
to
know, it just makes
actually,
for an interesting dynamic. It's
and
so I
let's,
don't know.
yeah, moving forward to the dark tournament, like even their opponents, they were, although they don't have any connections to the main characters with their past, they were able to build relationship for the present with the main characters, like the
Yeah.
relationship with what's the name of the drunk that
Oh yeah, yeah.
show,
I
right?
forget his name.
He
Yeah,
was able to
yeah,
build rapport with Yusuke,
yep,
and moving forward, even up to the end of the series, he was actually still relevant. And
yeah. Even
it's
the
a
wind,
rare,
the other guy, the wind guy.
and it's a rare chance to
He
see
has
a
like wind
character.
stuff, right?
Yeah, what was the name of the guy? He was part of the elements. I think a team with powers of the elements.
Hmm.
Like even if they try to get these characters into a cameo, they never felt like a throwaway.
Yeah, yeah,
They are still fun to watch, and it is a good surprise to have them back by the
yeah,
end. Like the entire Dark tournament, I think what made it fun is actually the interaction, not necessarily just the fights. It's actually the interaction during the fights,
yep.
which is a rarity.
Well, I mean, the tournament arc has one of the best scenes in anime. When in my opinion,
Which
the
one is it?
scene where after Yusuke gets his, I guess, abilities from Genkai, right? Genkai
Yep.
passes his abilities on to Yusuke, and he fires off a spirit gun into the sky. And everyone sees it. Everyone's not like there, but everyone like just sees it. They're like around,
And
and they
one of
see
the
this
most
like, oh, that
emotional
was
part.
that was Yusuke for sure. Like oh shit, like he's back. Like that scene is so special. Like it's just like, and
What
and
was
you just
the
hear Yusuke screaming at the sky, like "Get this Genkai!" Like, oh, dude, oh, that just pumps me up so much, dude. That
what
scene
was
is
your
so.
description for it? Your description for it was he's releasing his loneliness, like
Yeah. Ooh, that's
right.
interesting. Yeah. Huh.
I have to rewatch it again. I have already rewatched it. I kind of
Damn.
forgot.
Is that from the, I guess, translation? Is that what you're
I
saying?
think it's the translation here, but I think I could remember it's the same in the sub.
Yeah.
I'd have to look back at it, but I think that's pretty much the essence of it. Why he did it, like he's pretty much gotten over the loss of his master. Once
Yep.
again, Genkai is actually female here in our country from the
Well,
start, and they,
Genkai is female,
sorry, Genkai was
male.
male to start. Then they course corrected when because she turned young, right? Like it's
Yeah, but I mean, she's well, yeah. There's a point where in the tournament arc, she's like kind of hiding as a special character, but it's like,
Jesus Christ.
who else could that be? You know what I mean? It's like it's so funny because it's like they're wearing a headband or whatever, and I'm sure like when I was a kid too, I was like, who the hell is that? But it's like so obviously Genkai, just like from the body, like you know what I mean? It's just like so obviously Genkai.
Yeah, and one of the dudes there has a third eye. And
Yeah.
Kuwabara is part of that tournament with the same
Yep.
clothes. And you couldn't have guessed. And these are detectives, by the way.
Not very good. They're not very good at their job.
Once again, going back
Um,
to our point that they should change their costumes every once in a while.
well, one thing I will say about Yu Yu Hakusho is the main character. This is like I forget his name, but he's like the human guy, the human billionaire or trillionaire.
Uh
Um,
Sakyo? Sakyo, I
maybe
think.
if that's his name, I forget. I forget,
Which is actually a
which
pretty
doesn't
important
really
character.
help me in what I'm trying to say here. But I do think that he was an interesting, like he's very much a my point is like he was very much a mustache like twirling villain kind of a degree, right?
I
All he's
never
doing is like trying to cause problems. He's not really like
wasn't he also actually funding things in the background? Like he
yeah,
was part of the Black 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 Club
Yep.
something. Then he
Yep.
was actually funding Sensui with
Yep.
his demon tunnel. Because
Yeah.
Toguro
He's
was
always there in the background. But
and because
but
Toguro
it
was actually the young Toguro was actually originally a follower of Sensui.
yes. Yeah. That's what I'm saying is the the villain beyond Toguro. Toguro is like his own thing. Like Toguro is complicated, complex, whereas the rich guy, he's like made out
Yeah,
to just be this rich guy, but he has like a ton of weird ties, and there's a couple of scenes with him and Kuwabara's sister that really like kind of brings out his humanity to a degree. Like it's weird. It's like this guy's like super evil, but he's like still kind of like a human to a degree. I don't know how to explain it. Like you really just have to like watch and like experience. Like it's a very different way of like portraying a villain. Like he's very much a just doing it for evil's sake, but it's even more than that. Like and they never really get into why to a
it's the
degree, right?
first
It's like
it's the first time we've seen sexual tension in the show with those two.
yeah,
And the funny thing is, we
yeah,
have to address this. Like, I want to point out when the demon tournament actually happened and during the Ryzen arc, I think Yusuke was 15 years old. I was wondering
yeah.
how old were they during the dark tournament? Like,
I
because
thought he
this
was
was
19.
no, before he actually left for the dark tournament during the Ryzen arc, he actually made a promise to Keiko that he will come back in 3 years, which meant he'll be marrying him in his legal age at 18.
That makes sense. Yikes. Yikes. But I mean, hey, that's not,
So these,
that's typical of
how
Japanese
old are
anime,
these
I
guys?
feel
Like
like.
12 years old fighting in the dark tournament.
That's nothing new. I feel like that's nothing new. What's the oh my god, it's gonna bother me. It's nothing new with Japanese anime.
Yeah, we have
They,
Gohan, right? We have Gohan.
I mean, what Astro Boy? It's like a kid that was turned into a robot. It's like 10-year-old turned into a robot, you know? What's I'm trying to think of the one. I'm not gonna be able to think of it, but it's literally like a fucking 13-year-old girl that's like fighting robots and stuff. I can't think of the name, man.
13-year-old
I was
girl.
I forget the name of it. I think she's even younger. She might even be like 11. But yeah, shot, shot. That's Japanese anime for you. It's
Japan is making
they
work hard.
what? What's
Japan
that?
is making their kids work hard at the age of 10,
Yeah,
fighting demons.
yeah.
Stop.
It's ridiculous.
Like when I was age 10, I didn't have these dreams of actually saving the world. They think kids think this way, right?
Yeah.
So going back to the entire Netflix thing, what do
Oh
you
yeah.
think the major hurdle for them actually translating this to live action?
That's a good question. I think it. I mean, there's a lot of different ways it could go wrong. I you know the special effects. I know people are saying like for One Piece, the special effects look good, right? Like especially I think Luffy's ability is like probably the hardest, right, out of all of them to actually
Yeah,
get right. Yeah.
the smartest thing I think they did with One Piece that they're gonna have a hard time doing for this one is actually they use special effects in One Piece very sparingly. Like they mostly relied on camera work for the action. That's why there's a joke in the Honest trailer where there's actually just rotating cameras during the action scenes.
But they do it effectively, is what you're saying.
They do
Like
it
it's
effectively.
not it's
Like
not corny.
they have limited resource, but with what little they had, they actually used it well. Like the CGI, me and Chris has actually discussed the CGI. It's really decent for this one, far better than what they showed in the trailer. And I hope to God,
Well, it also
for
depends on the
Yu Yu Hakusho.
budget. Like it's Netflix. Like you'd think that and they, given what they know already with prior work, they, I don't want to say they're just going to throw money at the wall, but you kind of hope that they're going to put as much as they can to make it look good. If that makes sense, right? Like I knowing Netflix, it'll probably be shit. Like me personally, like I can't stand Netflix like stuff. Like it's just it always turns out bad. I feel like aside from like select few, like Squid Game was very good.
It's a
The
dice roll.
Witcher anime was pretty good. Um, yeah, I mean, but it really comes down. I think out of everything that they can get wrong, it's the world building. It's how
Yeah,
the sets look in the background. You know, they can they can do a ray gun pretty well, or even Kuwabara's sword. I feel like that's not as hard as the actual, especially like towards the end of how making the like tournament arc, like how they're gonna make the tournament arc look good without like crazy special effects and crazy just money put into the sets. You know what I mean?
yeah. Once again, we're going to be talking about pacing here, right? Also, regarding that tournament arc, they don't want that to drag too long.
That's the thing. Like, I don't even know if they'd get like in the first season. I don't know if they'd even get. They'd probably just end on the castle because I think about that. Like, that's a lot. I don't even know if they'd get to the tournament arc in the first season. They'd probably save that.
What I don't want them to do is actually rush the introduction of the characters for this one, because every episode with
Yeah.
introduction characters is actually pretty good.
Well, and they don't show up for like I think the
Six
fourth or
episodes,
fifth episode, right? Something like that. Yeah,
majority.
it's a little bit into it.
I think even more than that because they've spent a lot of time during the resurrection of Yusuke.
And they're and as you know, typical '90s anime, they're bad guys to begin with, right? Like
Yeah,
Hiei at least. Hiei, I remember being pretty evil, pretty evil in the beginning.
yeah, it's an understatement.
Whole body covered in eyes or whatever.
Yeah, if we're gonna think about it, like a full season of One Piece was actually 8 episodes. Like, if they're gonna do the same thing for this one with 8 episodes, how
I don't even know if
far do
they'd
you
get to
think?
the castle. I mean, maybe.
I think it will just be
I
the
think they'd
introduction.
have to. They'd have to.
I
Yeah, they'd have to like get to that eventually.
Yeah, get one main antagonist where all four of them will have to work together. Like I think
How
that's
how
gonna be
long were the One Piece episodes?
40 minutes
Okay,
for each
so like an
one.
hour.
Yeah, almost an hour. But like I said, for the One Piece episode, the arc that they actually went through was actually episode 1 to 45.
Yeah, they took special which I mean,
They took liberties on it.
I think One Piece is very I don't have to think. I know One Piece is very different from Yu Yu Hakusho in its pacing, right? Like Yu Hakusho has has the filler here and there, but it's not like fucking One Piece where like there's 20 episodes of filler. You know what I mean? Like again, I haven't seen One Piece, so I'm just talking out of my ass to a degree, but
They're
I
pretty
know
much dead
One
on.
Piece.
They're
I
pretty much
know
dead on.
One Piece.
It's like you watched it.
Yeah, I mean, again, like every anime has filler to a degree, and what do we define as filler? Even like what even is filler? It's like episode without action.
Something.
There's a lot of episodes in Yu Yu Hakusho where it's just like kind of a I don't want to just call it an exposition dump, but to a degree, it's just an exposition dump because they have to explain a ton of shit, who this character is, or what's going on with the demon plane. There's just a ton of stuff that they have to get across to the audience.
Yeah, pretty much could think that the episode or the
I don't know.
climax of the series would just end with the tower. Like they need
That's
an antagonist to
that's like
act,
the best bet.
right?
Yeah.
Then they
That
do
scene. So
teaser
what's
for
like
our tournament.
what's your favorite like because I already said one scene that I love, but what's like a scene that you love from Yu Yu Hakusho, like one of your favorite moments?
Actually, it's the same in the cave. Like
Yeah,
that,
it's hard
that
to beat that.
it is, right? I think that's the most
I
emotional.
Another scene I love is speaking of the tower arc when Hiei fights the ice dragon. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
It's not you know what I'm talking about, the ice guy?
Yep, yep.
this guy it's oh my god, it's the setup is so sick because it's just like this guy's like makes himself seem like such a badass coming in and killing the last guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He just chops up the other the stone guy and just like kind of sets him up as like this douche, essentially a douchebag. He's like, damn, you just killed your boy, and he made himself look powerful, you know. And he just comes in and just fucking slices him in like a millisecond.
I think that's just to
Like,
emphasize that
whoa,
these
dude.
are
It's like, God damn. And the way that they like play it, like, right, like the slow-mo, like they do this a lot, but where Hiei's like, you didn't see that, or I'm sorry, Yusuke's like, did you see what just happened? You know what I mean? Like, and Kurobaro's like, oh, I didn't see shit. Like, I love that type of shit, man.
yeah,
I
and well,
love
while
it.
we're at it, let's talk about the sound design
Yeah.
for the action here. It's actually one of the first animes I actually noticed sound design is actually pretty impactful
Yep.
and makes
Yeah.
sense. Another scene that I actually just I just remember this. Remember a scene where Yusuke is gonna be fighting a girl and it turned out he's a guy. This is the first
In
sexual
tournament arc,
harassment. I forgot which arc it was.
I don't remember
I
that.
think it was in the tower. Like they both leap in the air,
Yeah.
and I think Yusuke actually touched everything. That's why it wasn't it was okay for him to actually fight because he knows that he's not fighting a girl.
Oh,
And it was
I think
only at
I vaguely know what you're
remember
talking about now. I vaguely know what you're talking about. Yeah.
and
You
even
can't do that shit no more, huh?
no
Can't
no
really
no
do that anymore. Yeah.
like they
Mm.
Kuwabara even scolded him that he punched a girl and th- th- at that point I think they had to justify what was done because actually it was male violence against women
Oh my
which is
God.
rarely seen in animation unless the female is actually overpowered.
Yeah. Or it's hentai.
Being assaulted by tentacles,
Being
right?
honest.
I think that's one of the more episodes, one of the most memorable scenes for me because it's a rarity, particularly based in my country regarding our censorship here that actually went through.
Yeah.
It actually got approval to be broadcasted
There's
nationwide.
there's another scene. I had to look through my photos. I don't know if I'll be able to find it as fast, but I took it's from oh yeah, wow, I actually found it incredibly fast. Um so do you remember the scene where what's his like spirit animal thing? Puon? Puo?
Who?
Puo or something?
Who?
Pui?
Or
I forget
something?
his name. But when Pui like evolves, you know, like into like almost like a dragon or like a Pegasus or something, like you know what I'm
Phoenix,
talking about?
I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
I guess the Phoenix is the best way to
it was
describe
after
it.
he died the second time from Sensui, right?
Yeah.
Being
In
killed
this
by.
scene where everyone like looks up and oh, the focus is
Yeah,
probably
yeah, I see it.
not,
I still
but
remember
yeah.
that.
God damn, it's so sick. And they're just
It was the
like
most
in
stupidest
Sui,
thing
right? It's
ever.
against Sui or Sensui.
Since it's the most stupidest thing ever because this is the first time we find out that the spirit realm has a defense force
Yeah,
that can actually
yeah.
battle these S-class monsters, and they never use them. They keep sending these kids. Like they have these
It's easier to
powerful,
do that.
right? Like you couldn't have led with that.
Too
Like
easy.
they were able to close the demon world gate just by raising their
Uh,
hands.
in defense of the author, I would say they're like the last line of defense. Like if you know, right? Like that's the way I read it.
But
Like
the thing is, like
I
Enma did say they wanted to maintain the balance. Like this is a world-ending event. Your last line of defense is going to be used here, no matter what.
well, I mean, I remember the whole arc. It's like there was this like overriding dread. Like everyone there, I don't think anyone thought that Yusuke was gonna get the job done, right? Like at least not what's his name? I can't think of his name. the head of the demon plane. What or God damn it, the kid, the little kid
Who was it? Like,
with the baby thing. He's like pretty much a kid. He's like a baby, but he's
uh,
not. Can't think
Koenma.
of his name. Yes,
Koenma.
Coinmo. Yeah, yeah,
That was the first time I think he removed his pacifier, right? Because he was
yep.
saved spirit energy there for what, thousands of years, sucking on something for thousands of
Pretty
years.
sick. When you think about it, and now that sounds dumb, but like in the context of the story, it's just like, who? How did he think of this stuff? Do you think he had it all set up, like ready to go?
Like these, if
Like,
you think about it, like these guys are pretty much gods there. Like they have control, I think, or they have cognizance of the future, what's
and
gonna
I'm
happen. Because
pretty sure.
everyone I think is
Wait,
aware that Yusuke is actually has the spirit of the demon in him from the start. That's why they
yes.
he's
I'm sorry. I was curious to see if because I know that they were talking about potentially the reason it stops. Like there was a point where the author was gonna keep going with Yu Yu Hakusho, but he decided to just pivot into Hunter x Hunter and just kind of just ended Yu Yu Hakusho. It's like I'm just gonna end it. Like it's like I
yeah,
get that
that's
to a degree, but would you be down for a sequel? Is my question. Like, would you be down for maybe not a manga? Well, yeah, I guess it would have to be a manga or something like anime, whatever it be,
yeah,
picking up
this
from where it
feels
ends.
like with the ending of Yu Yu Hakusho, it feels like a How I Met Your Mother scenario where I believe the fandom is actually unanimous in stating that it was pretty underwhelming the way it actually ended. Like Genkai all of a sudden
Yeah, yeah,
giving her place just to them, then jumping to the future where there's another tournament after 5 years, and that's the ending. Yusuke, what is he owning now? A ramen stand or something? Like it's pretty underwhelming for all the fantastical things that happen.
yeah,
Like there's no
yeah,
introduction of a new generation of spirit detectives. Like he didn't actually leave anything where there's a possible passing of the torch. Like if you want to do Hunter x Hunter, like you could pretty much, I think, make a transition to it. Like make it. He didn't actually feel that he could do something in the same world as this. He'd have to pivot into something new. Maybe you
yeah.
run
And
out
I
of
and I
time.
agree to a degree. To, I agree to some extent. It's like you feel like the story has run its course to a point. I mean, do you like Hunter x Hunter? Have you read it? Have you?
Yeah, it's another anime that I tend to watch.
Hmm.
I haven't actually gone through it. The first time it was actually shown, I was only able to watch, I think, the first season. Then I never actually went through it. Then
Yeah.
it there was a remake, right, regarding it.
Was
And
there?
this, I think there was. It's the same thing that they're doing
Oh
with
yeah,
Naruto.
it's literally on Netflix, I think.
So, what am I gonna do to be able to appreciate the new one? Do I need to watch the first one in its entirety before I get into the new one just to notice the
I hear
differences?
you.
Right?
Mhm.
It's a
I
confusing
mean, at
thing.
that point, right? It's always better to just read it,
I
right? I
think
mean,
I'm gonna be taking your advice on that
yeah.
regarding
Uh,
Hunter.
and even then, it's like Hunter x Hunter is good, but I think that it suffers because the characters in Yu Yu Hakusho are just better. Like they're just better. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like Yusuke and Kuwabara. They're all very different, and they all have ways for
Yeah, and
different people to latch onto.
yeah, another thing that
Like you said, you like Yoko Karama better than most of the other and Yusuke. Like a lot of people will gravitate to Yusuke just because of
and I
his
think the
natural
detriment
pizzazz.
for me, the detriment for me for Hunter x Hunter is why I didn't actually get into it because I knew it actually came from the same creators Yu Yu
Yeah,
Hakusho. I can't get this out of my head, and I'm sorry for those that love it. That I feel it's just a cheap knockoff of Yu Yu Hakusho when it comes to characters. Every time I look at
exactly,
volume,
exactly what I was gonna get to. That's exactly like my point is like it just feels like a bad version of Yu Yu Hakusho, and maybe that's it's just because it's the same author. Not necessarily a story problem, but more just the fact that it feels so familiar, right?
yeah, he didn't actually. He changed the world, but he never actually changed the aesthetics.
I mean, yeah, I was just gonna say, did he? Did he even change the world? Not really. I mean, kinda.
He tried to, but there are still visual cues pointing to Yu Yu Hakusho. There has been an update to the animation. Don't get me wrong, but there is
Yeah,
that
I don't.
blueprint
I
that
think
he's
it's
still
still on
following.
Netflix. I have to
It's still
see.
the
Wait,
blueprint that he's following. Collect your members, do a tournament, collect other members, do another tournament. Like it's just basically the same formula. That's why I never got into it.
yeah, Hunter x Hunter 2011 is on Netflix. I don't know. Actually, I take that back. I think they're gone now. All
Is it
6 seasons of Hunter x Hunter will be leaving Netflix US on August 1st, 2023. But it literally just came up. Hunter x Hunter 11. I don't know. Looks like you can.
yeah, Netflix might have let it go because of the writer's strike. Just you know,
No, but I mean, you could still like look here. I'll send it to you. Looks like it's still.
still there?
Uh, well, I'd have to sign in. I don't feel like signing in right now, but it looks like it says join now to watch. Watch all you want. But I don't know if this is the remake or the old one. Hunter x Hunter
Yeah, it's still there.
2011.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah.
All 6 seasons, by the way. And season six
Yeah.
is just like they're pretty much
For those
inconsistent
who
when it comes to
for
episodes.
those who
Like
enjoy it. For
season
those
five
who
has
won't
61
catch me
episodes.
watching this.
No, I'm not gonna go through all this just for the sake of it still feels like, and again, I'm sorry to those who love it, but it just still feels the same or a cheap knockoff of Yu Yu
People are gonna
Hakusho.
love it. People are gonna hate and not like it. It's just how things go. Like I don't. You don't have to apologize for your, what you like or don't like. I know that there are hardcore fans for Hunter x Hunter, but it's like,
Yeah, no, I'm just apologizing for the term I use because some people
oh.
don't get being called that way.
But the live action for Yu Yu Hakusho is scheduled for December this year. If it actually will it come out then? Who knows, right? Like
When will
I
we
have a
see a
feeling it won't.
trailer?
I have a pretty yeah. There's nothing. There's literally nothing about it.
Is there already a casting for it?
Actually, wait. What is this? Oh, it's just like a picture. Wait. Oh, that's right. I forgot about this. They did like I can show you. They did like a character reveal to a degree where
It
they
felt
kind of
like
showed who's playing. Yeah, it's
it
not
felt like
really
AI.
anything, but
Is it real people? It felt like AI created, like one of those
it
top
kind of
tens or
looks
list
AI
posts,
created actually. A
right?
little bit, yeah.
And
Um,
like I mentioned to you before, I'm equally curious or highly curious about how they handle Kuwabara in this one, because like the One Piece route, the route that One Piece actually took, because of the goofiness of or the nature of the character and the art style, they had to tone the characters a bit down from being as animated as they was in terms of their personalities. Is Kuwabara going to be this loud here? I don't see it that way. That's
and like, isn't
the
he kind of a pervert to a degree? Like he's a little bit pervy. Maybe not. I mean, he's not as bad as like Master Roshi, but he can be kind of. He's kind of creepy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna play a lot of these characters.
yeah. And the
It
question
says
is,
it's rated. Oh, yeah, no. I thought I said I had a release date official.
another big question to us is, are these characters going to be recognizable to us when we see them on screen? Who they are?
I mean, just from what I just watched, they're relatively. I don't know. I said this to you yesterday. I think they look like cosplayers, but I think that's just the nature of what they're making. It's an anime into live action. Like that's just gonna happen. You know what I mean? They're just gonna look like cosplayers. What I really hope is that they keep that stuff that we talked about before about the fashion. Like I really hope that they do kind of change their wardrobes throughout episodes and stuff like that. I hope it's not just the same green jacket thing. I really want to see some cool fashion.
Yeah, they're going to want to sell merch, right? After this.
You would think. See, you say that, you would think, but it's weird with this kind of with anime, especially. Like there's so much anime, like Serial Experiments Lane. Now I know that's very much like niche, but if you want to find any of the merchandise for that, it's like $400. You know what I mean? It's like impossible to find. Even some like old Neon Genesis stuff is like still so expensive. And Studio Ghibli, we were talking about Studio Ghibli before. Their merch, like you can still get it, but it's I don't know. It's like it's not like they build. It's not like in the U.S. where they build off of stuff. Like Disney, especially, builds off of stuff for merchandise.
Yeah.
It's like I bet that is a part of it, but I don't know. I don't know. I now that you say that, I'm actually curious to see like what kind of stuff will come out for it. Like, will there be new statues, the new like toys and stuff? Will they gonna make like a plushie for that
I
blue
don't know
thing? If that's even
for
in the
the
show,
for the
like,
One Piece thing, if it's the hot toys for One Piece live action is actually a real thing. I've seen pictures of them.
oh yeah,
Kind of like them. Like these are expensive toys, like
that's the
four
thing.
hundred
They're not
dollars.
really even toys at that point. They're just collector's items,
Basically just action figures that you treat as statues, right?
collectors, literally collector's items.
Toys for the big boys, like these things behind me. So yeah, another question I have, and we it's hard for us not to compare it to One Piece, right? Because everyone's saying that's the yardstick now when it comes to live action translations for
Yeah.
anime.
What's another one that came out? Oh, Cowboy Bebop. That was another one that came into my mind a little bit earlier.
And One Piece
We've
came from
we've
the same creators of Cowboy Bebop. Like what a pivot.
the live action. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm curious. What did you watch that?
I haven't yet.
Cowboy Bebop is weird. Like I think how they handled the story was okay. The problem with the live action Cowboy Bebop is largely to do with the direction and how they handled characters. Like Vicious.
I have watched
Vicious
it.
is kind of like an absolute joke, in the live action,
My
which is
my question
weird. It's like what where did that direction come from? Like who was like, oh, let's make him goofy as hell. In the anime, Vicious is like vicious, like he's fucking scary. He has a bird, and like I don't know, it's just like I don't know,
and
man. It's
yeah, and that
pisses
brings
me
it.
off the way they handled it. It's
And
fucking
it's
vicious.
nice you mentioned that point because this brings it to my point. Like the main success for I think for the Netflix live action for One Piece is the creator is actually involved in it. Like some people are
Yes,
saying that he has a morality clause in the contract, meaning that he if he doesn't want something, it's not going to be shot. It's not going to be part of the film.
it's interesting how different characters approach that. Because like
So
big
I'm
problem for Netflix
wondering,
actually.
yeah,
What?
I'm wondering for Yu Yu Hakusho, is the creator actually involved? And what is his motivation for this one? Since he was actually demotivated for the Yu Yu
I'm
Hakusho, that's why he ended it.
I That's the thing. I don't think he's involved at all. Knowing him, yeah, knowing him, he's probably not involved at all. And if he is, it's very light role. Like he usually doesn't like get involved in this type of stuff. I mean, even the manga. What did I show you? Oh, it was on my phone.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of this, especially for Yu Yu Hakusho, a lot of the later uh volumes, you can see that his like style has like maybe not deteriorated. I don't want to. He also has a sickness, right? He has a problem with his hands. I think.
Yeah.
Actually, like, I'm not even kidding. He has a problem with his hands to some degree, but you can see in like the older volumes of Yu Yu Hakusho how like he kind of just, I don't want to be mean, but he got lazy. Like he's just like, there's several, like even this scene that I showed earlier. Like just look at down below. Look at this. Look at it's gonna be impossible. It's literally just like an outline of a foot. Like you know what I mean? It's like I don't see him getting involved with live action.
And that's what's scary,
Maybe,
because
maybe, but I don't
the
know.
high the high quality that we got.
You see, that's a big problem that Netflix actually has right now with The Witcher. The Witcher TV series. The showrunner Lauren Hisrich kind of did her own thing. Like the first season was great, and then she took the show in like a really odd direction. And even uh Henry Cavill left the show because it just wasn't following the
Yeah.
books.
It's a weird decision for them to make, because their direction was already well received. They already have perfect casting. They have a good ensemble with them. They have good material. Why even go this route that everybody actually
To your
mentions
point,
don't do
like
it?
the author, the author is just not involved and doesn't care, kind of like just doesn't really care. And I think goes to your point. It's like why? Like I don't understand. I don't understand. Like
Still
I guess
doesn't
it's really just at that
it
point for the
really
money. But
it really doesn't even make sense to think about it, because when the first season was actually successful, they should have a blueprint of what they're going to be following for the second season. Like, this is what people want. Why then a
yeah,
180 direction? Like, let's not go with the source material. Let's piss off our main star, who
yeah,
everyone
you
actually.
and you lose that, you lose the merchandising to a degree. Like I
Yeah,
remember because
and the name
after the
value.
first season, I love The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 is awesome. And that's kind of what drew me in to the world more so than the show, obviously. I mean, the Witcher 3 was just awesome. So it was it's even me. I got The Last Wish, like the first two compilations of short stories is kind of like so it there's two books about short stories and then it leads into the main series of books. And I read those first two short story books. And then I think season two, around the time season two had finished, I was like, I don't even want to read the rest of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I read the first book, Blood of Elves, and then I just like, and there was so much marketing. Like you'd go into a bookstore and you'd see like, especially in the Witcher section or the fantasy section, you'd see like from the show, you know, like The Witcher. You know what I mean? Like trying to push the books. But now it's like no one has even any reason to buy the books because it's why? It's like the show doesn't even follow the same blueprint.
yeah. In terms
Does
of
that make sense? Like,
changing, yeah, in terms of changing the direction for you, Hakusho, I did mention my favorite chapter is actually my favorite arc is actually chapter Black, right?
yeah,
And one reason for that is chapter Black actually shows the nuance of the demons back then. It shows the morality questions regarding everyone's treatment and why these demons are acting this way.
yeah,
And and you might not like since Sensui as a character, but for me, having to create different personalities just to cope with what he saw in the tapes
yeah.
means a lot. That, hey, humans can be as worse as demons. And I hope to God that Netflix doesn't sanitize these kinds of nuances when they handle this franchise, because
Well,
this
it's
franchise has
I
already
will say it's rated
gone.
TV-14. So I don't know if that tells you kind of what the direction is with that. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be as gory, bloody, or you know,
Doesn't need to be gory or bloody. It just the theme needs to be there, and
well,
the
that's what I
tone.
mean. I don't think it's gonna be as mature as you're hoping. I don't think. And given the fact that it's rated TV-14, I think they're trying to get as many audiences as they can, and
But if I'm going to be
they're
doing
not. I
something
don't know. They're not
regarding
gonna do it.
regarding Yu
What?
Yu Hakusho, if I'm gonna be doing something live action, if I was actually the showrunner for this, I would be thinking, okay, who in this new generation actually knows the franchise, and how many percentage of that would be watching? Then I would be going back to thinking that this was a 30-year-old show. The audience for this actually grew up, and this is the major audience that we're gonna get. If we're gonna turn this into a kids show, do you think they'll love it?
No. Well,
Right?
maybe. Maybe it depends. I mean, it kind of goes to the same thing as Disney, right? Disney bought Star Wars. Why did they buy Star Wars? Why do you think they bought Star Wars? It's not so
But Star
they can
Wars,
make more Star Wars. They wanted to make fucking money. You know what I mean? Like they want to make money.
in terms
They're
of
making the
tone,
show so they can make money. And to make money, you need to find new audiences.
but in terms of the tone of it, if you think about it, when Star Wars actually started, the theme of the show is, or the film's actually pretty mature. Like it's talking about republics and senates. I
Yeah.
don't think kids would actually understand the nuance when it comes to governance and it comes to countries and planets and trades. Like only
Yeah, but it
adults
wasn't really
get
it
that.
was more the fantastical side for Star Wars that got people invested. And it translated very well to every like a kid could get that, like a cool guy with a laser blade. The fantasy aspect is what kind of drew people in over just the politics of it. I think the prequels is what made the fucking politics of it more annoying. You know
And
what
I
I mean?
think another thing that actually helped them for the kids is actually the lack of options. Like, what else is the kids
Yeah.
are the kids actually watching there that's actually cutting edge? Like, what actually came out when Star Wars actually was first shown in theaters? That's actually theater
Jaws, like,
Jaws for
right? Like,
kids.
I don't know. Like, I'm trying, like, Spielberg was at his height probably back then, but Kubrick stuff, I don't know. For kids, I don't know.
I love that when I actually mentioned kids, you immediately gravitated towards Jaws.
I feel like that's an easy one, right?
Like it's a weird thing for me to think that the showrunners for this Yu Yu Hakusho live action would actually
Well, you're
neglect the
absolutely right.
audience that was there 30 years ago and would think that the audience of today would actually be familiar with it. Like you did say that
Yeah.
it does look like they are going to be bringing back the fashion that they had before,
You said it does or doesn't?
which I think kids nowadays would call retro.
Wait, are you saying they will? You're saying it does look like they're going to do that, or
Just based on the trailer. Was the
hmm,
trailer actually officially coming from Netflix?
I don't. I
Like,
I think so.
like these are
It's
uniforms
the
from schools in Japan. I think has
Yeah.
the uniforms in Japan actually changed over the past 3 decades?
Yeah.
Pretty much
Probably.
the
Well,
fashion
actually,
the
maybe
fashion
not.
that we're talking about is actually a school uniform. Like I've known schools here that haven't changed their uniforms in 40 years.
Yeah.
So pretty
Same. Oh,
much,
same here. Yeah.
right?
Same here.
So I think they're gonna be pretty much carrying the aesthetics of what they had before. Like the only time they actually changed their fashion was actually during the Dark Tournament.
Yeah.
So pretty much the aesthetics they got it on lock. So if I do hope this gets new audience on board, but without actually my main concern is actually the creator not being enthusiastic about the franchise and him not having anything to do with it.
Yeah. I mean, there's really kind of nothing you can
But then
like
we're
do
just
about that.
speculating here because there hasn't been any official word on whether he has anything to do with this or
That's
want
kind of
to.
why I brought up The Witcher, is just because like I feel for like especially Henry Cavill, people that were like actually like literally invested in the show, right? The creator just doesn't give a shit, and it kind of causes problems for actual fans because you're not getting the type of content that you expect, right? You're invested in this show emotionally, and it doesn't even follow like even slightly the same. I mean, the problem is like a lot of these shows, like look at Cowboy Bebop, it didn't follow exactly the same format. In fact, it ends on it. It kind of changes the ending to a degree, for the benefit of a potential next season that's literally not coming. But yeah, I mean, I think change is necessary and kind of par for the course. I mean, again, look at One Piece, right? One Piece, how much they changed too for for the better. I think like you're kind of gonna have to you're just gonna have to accept the fact that it's not gonna be the same, but hopefully it'll be just as good, if not better. Would you call One Piece the live action better than the anime?
No, but
Hmm.
I liken One Piece to a good side dish to an excellent entree. But it's pretty
So
much
it'll
the side dish to it. Like if you want to
you,
go, if you want to get interested in One Piece, like I always suggest, if you want to get interested to One Piece, uh, dig into the live action. And if you feel like you're gonna be into this world, want to know more, dig deeper with either the manga or with anime. Like,
I mean, yeah, I'd say I mean, honestly, with Yu Yu Hakusho, I'd say watch the anime. I don't even think the manga. I don't want to say it's not worth it, but
and I
like
don't
I
think,
said,
like I said, I had a run through with the anime, although I haven't finished the Demon Tournament, the four Demon Kings arc yet. Like
yeah,
it's not that long of a watch if you
no,
think about it, right?
yeah,
Unlike
what is it?
one, it's actually
I guess technically it's 4 seasons, right?
yeah, and for One
Maybe
Piece, it's
four.
still being updated. It hasn't ended yet.
Yeah,
So that would be a daunting task for you to actually catch up with an anime. Like Yu Yu Hakusho, you could pretty much start with the anime and just ignore the manga. But if you
yeah.
want,
See, I wouldn't unless you're super unless you really fuck with Yu Yu Hakusho, I would recommend not even bothering with the manga for several reasons. One, they're like impossible to find. I think they're finally getting reprinted this year. I think they're
okay,
actually just getting reprinted. So, like, a lot of those books on the shelves back there were like, I had to pay like 20, $30 for one book
how many
because
chapters
they
were
didn't
there?
exist. What?
How many chapters were there?
How many volumes? It's 19
I
volumes,
mean
19
volumes.
books.
19
19.
books.
Yeah. And funny enough, it looks like I have all of them back there, but I'm missing 18 because it's fucking impossible to find. I can't find it anywhere. There's actually, it's on one site, but it looks sketch, so I don't want to buy it. But I can't find it anywhere. It's nowhere on eBay. It's like volume 18 is like a mystery to me. It's a ghost. I can't find it. But besides the point, doesn't matter. I would say that watching Yu Yu Hakusho is the best way to digest it. Beyond just like the fact that the manga is hard to find. It's also like I said, like kind of not as good. Like you can see, like I said, like it's a lot of the outlines, not a lot of the detail. Like with Berserk, Berserk looks so good on paper, and it's impossible, really, in my opinion, to bring out Berserk in anime format is because of the immense amount of detail in just like one panel. Like there's just a shit ton of detail. Whereas in Yu Yu Hakusho, it's like just an outline of a foot. You'll get like I prefer. I honestly highly recommend just watching the show. If you really like Yu Yu Hakusho, get the manga, but you're gonna have a better experience with the show, in my opinion. Just
Yeah, and
and it's
they
just
all
easier to guide. It's easier to get.
yeah, with regards to Berserk, they already remade it, right? In 2016.
Yeah,
So it
that's
was
we don't talk about that. We
was it
don't
that
talk about that. Oh,
the
it's
20
awful. It's
really?
so bad. It's like 3D too. It's like got a bit of 3D in there, and then like the way that the sound design is just fucked, man. The sound design, like they added this weird sound effect for his sword. So you hear this like clanging, like kind of, and it's like going against dirt. Like, why is it clanging like that? It doesn't make any sense. Oh my god, this ugh, it's so
It's
bad.
like
Pissed me off. There's 2 seasons of that. They made 2 seasons of that. Oh, it makes me so mad. It's so mad, dude.
apparently
Ugh.
apparently that clanging noise made enough money to make it's a second season.
I'm pretty sure, right? I'm pretty sure there's 2 seasons of it. Berserk 2016. Fuck that
Yeah,
show.
the Yu Yu
And even the
Hakusho
director,
anime Yu Yu Hakusho anime, I think pretty much like you said, is the only way to digest it right now. And if the live action turned out to be shit, it's gonna be the only one that's actually gonna be worth watching.
yeah, and the other problem, and I don't know if problem's the right word. The other thing that you have to take into account is the when you look it up, right? Yu Yu Hakusho live action. When you look it up, I have Google AI of that stuff, so it pops up with like a ton of information. And one of the things it said, I don't know if it says it here now, but it said it's being, I don't know, it didn't, for some reason I'm not saying it now, but essentially it said it's being produced largely in Japan. So
Hmm.
that kind of tells you like the main audience for this is going to be Japanese, probably, as opposed to Westerners.
Hmm.
Makes you, I don't know, it's like,
Well, the last time we saw something marketed for Japan that's live action, what was it? Was it Full Metal Alchemist or Rurouni Kenshin? Which one actually came first?
uh, I don't know.
Because we don't speak about Attack on Titan anymore.
With the live action, you mean? All right.
Yeah,
The
like that's
Rurouni
why
Kenshin live action came out in 2012. What was the other one? The
Full
Brotherhood,
Metal
right?
Alchemist.
So the Rurouni Kenshin came first. It looks like the live action Full Metal Alchemist came out in 2017.
So that's the latest one that was marketed and produced in Japan, right? It wasn't actually done in the West.
Yeah, I think they're both. Yeah, they're both. Yeah.
Here's a question for you though. One Piece actually used Western actors. Well, you think Yu Yu Hakusho would have worked? It would actually was recreated for Western audience with a Western
Ah, man,
cast.
that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I have the answer for that. I don't know. And that's a type of thing I feel like that genuinely can only come down to one person, the creator, right? Like only the creator can answer that question. Because
Yeah, that's
for
why
me personally, I think that it's better with Japanese actors, just because that's
it's aesthetics, right?
it's they're Japanese. They're all Japanese, right? The characters are Japanese, so they should be played by Japanese people, right? I mean,
Yeah, it goes back to the artwork I said regarding the One Piece thing and why Westerners actually fit the bill when it comes to casting for it. And another thing
what's that? Oh yeah, yeah.
I was actually wondering, like, would this have been much more wide, or would people actually be much more excited for this if this was an additional arc instead of a live action? Like, let's say a prequel, like the time when the four kings or demon kings are actually coexisting, like Ryzen, Mokuro.
Are you saying like a spinoff kind of?
Like, let's say a prequel before Yusuke's time. Like, it was a question mark regarding the story because it was the story of Yu Yu Hakusho wasn't actually told in sequence. It was done in flashbacks regarding the demon world. So would you have rather preferred a new arc on top of what happened 30 years ago?
No,
You wouldn't?
no, because it probably wouldn't be done by the creator, so it wouldn't be good. I mean, look at Dragon Ball GT for example,
Was Akira
right?
Toriyama not part of it?
No, no,
Oh, this is the first time I heard of it.
garbage. And I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that are gonna be pissed. Like, yo, I love Dragon Ball GT. Like, we used to call it back in the day, Gone Training, dude. Dragon Ball Gone Training, because no one fucking cared about it. Because like all it did was just they all, it's just like bad. It's yucky.
Was it just a reset, I think, for Dragon Ball? Just to get a Kid Goku back?
Was it? I mean, maybe. Yeah, I mean that was like the very first thing that happens, and there's a couple cool fights. Like Janemba's kind of cool, right? I think he's in GT,
Yeah.
or maybe that was a movie. I don't know. GT. Ugh. You know, I kind of jumping off that. I know now we're talking about Dragon Ball, but they actually played that well for there's like a what's it fan made stuff called Dragon Ball Super Heroes or Heroes something.
Yeah.
Forget what it's called. Dragon Ball Heroes Super or something like that. Some stupid name. But it's by like fans, I think. And they kind of treat GT as its own separate reality almost. Like the Dragon Ball Super characters Goku like with Super Saiyan Blue
Yeah.
meets the dragon meets the Goku who can go Super Saiyan 4. It sounds stupid and very bad because it is, but it's fun. Like if you like Dragon Ball, it's on YouTube. Go watch it. It's literally just like a mashup of fights, like what ifs almost. Like who would win if you know Goku Super Saiyan or Goku Super Saiyan 4 fought I don't know, Goku Black, right? Like something like that. Like that's essentially what it is, and it's really good. It's I know it's super off topic, but I have a couple of those manga actually.
Yeah. Another question for you is, since we've talked about Hunter x Hunter having a remake, do you think it would have been nice to have Yu Yu Hakusho updated to today's animation?
No,
You still wouldn't think it would be any good?
I think it's fine right now. I think it's fine as it is. And that's maybe just because of my taste. I personally love the '90s, early 2000s chic.
Like I wouldn't mind it, but I would mind if they changed the music. Like soundtrack for Yu Yu Hakusho is,
Yeah,
I think, among the
yeah.
best.
And even then, it's like, what would they change it to? Like, what you know what I mean? Would they get a new composer to do it? I don't want them trampling on
They
the old
they
stuff.
they changed the music for Rurouni Kenshin when they
Uh,
remade.
Personally, the way I see remakes, especially when it comes to anime, like video game remakes are a completely different story, but anime remakes, I think, should only be used and reserved for like actual lost media. You know what I mean?
This is the Star
I
Wars special edition thing.
what's the no, not please
We don't
don't
talk about
not
that.
that. What's the one Shadar, right? Shadar. If you haven't heard
Shadar.
of Shadar, let's see if
Jeez,
it'll
because you
come
made
up.
me Google it.
Shadar anime.
Shadara, right? Or Shadar.
Boken Shonen Shadar. That might be. Yeah, this is it. Look up Boken Shonen
Yeah,
Shadar.
Boken Shonen Shadar.
That's it. That's it. So there's like maybe 50% of this is like lost to time. This is an easy show that they could remake. They should remake. Personally, I think that they should. It's insane for like it's supposed to be it's targeted for children. Like it's a children's cartoon. But it's like, like one of the first episodes, it's like this dude dies and this kid is like woken in the kind of a coffin and like I don't know, there's other crazy shit that happens in Shadar. But anyway, like I think remakes, if you're talking remakes, anime remakes, it really should be reserved for stuff that's like literally impossible to find anymore.
Yeah, this
Um,
was what, back in 1967?
yeah, it's 60s. It's like so we're going back. Like we're going back. Like, yeah. And and that's again, like that's really for the people who just like I don't know, like really like the art, I guess, more so than the story. You know? When it
Yeah,
comes to like you could still watch Yu Yu Hakusho and it's just as good. I mean, sure, you brought up the music and you valid point, absolutely valid point, but it's hard to capture the same like emotions. Like it'll feel weird. Like changing the music, I feel like it'll just feel weird. It'd be like this isn't I don't know. You watch Yu Yu Hakusho, you get this like feeling of nostalgia. At least for me. Like I kind of like time travel back when I was a kid watching it.
yeah,
It'll be hard to do. It'll be hard to have that hit the same if it's like remade with HD. I don't know. I have this really weird perspective when it comes to that. I think it would be cool, but I don't know. Honestly, I would prefer to see the live action than a remake, right? If that makes sense. Like I'd rather it be in a different format
You're
if they are
interested.
going to redo it at all.
You're interested, or are you more curious? It was into what it would look like.
What do you mean?
Uh, what I mean is your preference regarding it, or is your preference coming from a state of just curiosity?
Curiosity.
Like I'm looking at Netflix slate for December because this would also be
Yeah,
another factor whether this would actually people would actually watch it, and there's not a lot of shows it's gonna come up against. Only the Archies, I think it's gonna be something
I don't know
with a
what is coming out. Netflix releases
a new show
December.
called Berlin, first season. That's about it. Like the only
Oh yeah, the Archies. I think I heard about that.
like they're not
Oh, and Chicken Run. I think Chicken Run will be the biggest one. I think that'll.
Chicken Run.
Oh, dude, Chicken Run 2. This is Chicken Run 2. Do you not know what Chicken Run is?
I've watched Chicken Run before.
Okay,
First,
all right. They're coming out with a sequel. That'll be huge. That'll be huge.
it is huge, but
Yu Yu
there's
Hakusho,
not
such
a
a
lot of
random. Oh, and Rebel Moon. I forgot about Rebel Moon. That's Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder is making like essentially like Rebel Moon. Zack Snyder pitched a story to Star Wars, to Disney Star Wars, and they said, "Go fuck yourself." So he said, "Okay, Rebel Moon. I'm doing it myself." That's gonna be sick too. That's gonna be
that's a
sick too.
story for this
So
one.
it has some pretty compelling, uh, what's the having a block? It's gonna have some shit. It's gonna have some shit. I don't know about any of this other stuff.
I might just
Got
watch
some
it.
competition, but that's the other thing too. It's like I think interest will largely be Eastern. Is that does that make sense? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like there's
Yeah, for Asia, I think. For Asia, I
like
think this will be number one on Netflix come release.
yeah, I don't know how
Because
to say it lightly, but I don't think that people in the West are gonna appreciate it as much as people in the East, like people in Asian countries and stuff.
for kids, I think pretty much Pokemon would be the first
Oh yeah,
release,
I know.
right? This would be a hit for them.
Concierge, what is that? Pokemon Concierge. Fuck.
What the
But yeah.
like anything Pokemon would be at least number one for the kids section. The Archies
Well,
would
that's the thing. I don't see kids watching Yu Yu Hakusho, the live action. I don't see kids tapping into that. Maybe like, young teens, maybe. But again, like
if they would have actually
I don't
released
know.
this not in December, but they released Yu Yu Hakusho, I think by the end of October, early November, that would have been a perfect date, I think. But before Christmas,
If it even drops in December. I'm still convinced it's not gonna drop in December.
yeah, same here because they didn't actually finalize it. Like it says here is December 14th. This date is subject to change.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Maestro. I know we're talking about other shit, but Maestro looks pretty sick too.
Yeah, it's fine to talk about other
Maestro's
shit.
about
These
I think
other shits are
he's
gonna go up against the shit that we're talking about with Yu Yu Hakusho. Like
yeah, Pokemon
this would be another
Concierge. This
thing
is weird.
that would affect it.
So Yu Yu Hakusho. There's that other show or movie, The Killer. I guess it's not coming out in December. I think in November is when it comes out. Yeah.
So they're gonna have to hope to God that they don't run into any good releases on December 14th. Because Pokemon would be what in late December. after Christmas.
I closed it. I closed the tab, but I
Rebel Moon would be
mean,
on December.
either way, no matter what, it's gonna have a bigger audience in Japan.
The Chicken Run would be
It's
the
just,
competition.
especially given the fact that it's mostly
Not in
like
Japan.
it's a Japanese production. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I don't know. I hope it's good. I really do hope it's good.
Yeah, regarding going back to the anime once more, question for you though. Of all the characters that have been used in the anime, do you think there's one particular character you felt that it would have been interesting if they delved more into the backstory of?
Hmm.
Even
I
the
mean,
other
well,
characters, besides the big four.
it's gonna be out of left field here. Um, but I'd like to know a little bit more about Yusuke's parents. Like, where the fuck are they? Where, like, we never meet his parents. We never meet. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know shit. And obviously, spoilers. We get into like his father or stuff like that. I know they kind of hold off on that for a bit, but like, what about the mother? We don't know really much about anything about when it comes to his like mom, or you know what I mean? Like, and not how she met the demon and all. Like, there's just none of that. We don't get any of
Was it
that. It'd be kind of
was it was it implied that she can actually feel spirits? It was, right?
who.
The mother?
Oh, maybe I don't remember. I don't
Pretty
remember.
much. I think she's pretty
It's
much okay
such a
with.
small detail. Yeah, I mean, clearly the Yusuke has like an importance, right? Like I don't know like I don't want to say he's the chosen one, or it's not like that, but he has a very very I don't know, he's very important to the story, not just as a protagonist, but like how they I don't know, get him into the narrative. I don't know. I just wish there was more detail about his upbringing, his family life. You know, you don't really get. 'Cause, I mean, he died. Like, there's a point where he dies, and it's like almost nobody really, other than his girlfriend at the time, right? Like, I don't know. It's just like awkward. It's so awkward. And maybe that's more of a Japanese thing.
And it wasn't actually implied that he's that bad of a guy for no one to actually go to his funeral. If you think about it,
Yeah,
wasn't that actually driven home that he's this kind of bully? He's just someone that's kind of aloof with a lot of people, but not
yeah.
necessarily someone that you wouldn't want to go to the funeral of,
Well, he
right?
was very much a bully, right? I mean, he's paint like in the first episode, he's very much painted as kind of a bully, a little bit. He's kind of a bully.
He's Has he been shown picking on the weak, or is he just gung ho when it comes to fighting? Pretty much, I think there's a difference between a delinquent and a bully at in their core,
I'd call him a delinquent. I'd call him a
right?
delinquent. He's very much a
I think
delinquent.
he's
He's
just
he's
pretty
a
much
little
bored.
asshole. He's a little asshole. And he's starting fights. He's starting fights with people and stuff. Like, sure, like he likes fighting, but I mean, come on. Can't be doing that.
And for
Should
me,
be studying.
I want to see Kuwabar the college years. Like he pretty much actually opted not to join the demon tournament, right?
I mean, how
He
about
wanted to get into college.
Yusuke's father, good old days. Or even it would be really cool. Would be I know we get flashes of it, but it'd be cool to see what's his name's tenure as a spirit detective.
Sensui
What's his
and
name?
the other one, the
Yes,
female one. What's the name? The female one?
the sniper.
No, Sensui's mentor, I think.
Oh, I don't remember. Oh, I don't. I'm not gonna remember that. Not Genkai. No.
No, no, no. I forgot the name of the girl. Like Genkai actually asked because Yusuke actually was wondering regarding his father, regarding Ryzen. So I think Genkai asked Yusuke to go to this. I think a former spirit detective, a female one, and he Yusuke meets her family. Like uh, the kids are actually also spirit users, And he was
Yeah,
actually picked up by the monks that actually are followers of his father. Like he was given 1 week to say goodbye to everyone before he goes to the spirit realm to meet his father. You remember
I
this
don't
part?
remember.
Because he was
I don't
trying to
remember that.
actually understand the backstory of Sensui.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
Uh-uh.
The name of
That would be, it'd be sick to like have like a spin-off follow Sensui's era, or even like I said, um Yusuke's father.
oh. Yeah, the name of the spirit detective is Koroko Sato.
Okay. Hmm.
He was the detective before Sensui.
Gotcha.
And she stopped because she had a family.
Hmm.
She was the one who trained Sensui. So
Yeah.
yeah, she's part of Three King Saga. She was the one where who Yusuke asked about Ryzen.
And she gets killed, right? I mean, her and her like the don't Sensui, don't they show up to their house and kill them?
No,
Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Hmm.
they never actually. She was never actually seen in the anime or the manga after this part. Like they pretty much brushed her off
I thought Yusuke meets her.
just once, and then she
Yeah,
was never
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, they meet and they talk about how he's like dangerous.
she was never actually used again. And I do admit I'm kind of interested in in her story. Like who were the spirit detectives before him, right?
Yeah, or
Maybe
after.
a Jujutsu Kaisen scenario, right? The life of these former spirit detectives before their turn. What was the who was the one in Jujutsu Kaisen? Like it's Geto, right?
Gojo? Oh, Ghetto, like the
And
guy
there
that
were
turns evil.
yeah. So yeah, that's Yu Yu Hakusho in a nutshell. Basically just the 90s on
Very
steroids.
much. Yeah. I mean, this show is an absolute classic. So good.
Do you feel like it had influence on some animes that we're watching now? It was big enough to have an influence.
I think, yeah, I think so, but it's hard to like see, it's hard to like spot it. I mean, just Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, a lot of these shows like deal with like the same shit that Yu Yu Hakusho did. You know, even Jujutsu Kaisen, I got into that show primarily because it reminded me a lot of Yu Yu Hakusho. So I wouldn't be surprised if it influenced the creation of this stuff, you know? Dorohedoro, another one. Dorohedoro, you can
Yeah.
see how it's to a degree very much like Yu Yu Hakusho, kind of.
I never
It's
thought
got
of
that dark
JJK.
and funny. What's up?
Now that I never thought of JJK having any similarities with Yu Yu Hakusho, but now that you
What do you
mention it,
mean? Each
yeah,
character has their
I
own
just
special ability. They're
I
fighting
just
demons.
realized
It's literally Yu Yu Hakusho.
I just
Literally Yu Yu
realized
Hakusho. Based in Japan,
like I
literally
just
Yu Yu
realized
Hakusho. Demon Slayer is a little bit less so, but again, same premise. They're fighting demons. Each one of the characters has a special ability. It's a Yu Yu Hakusho, right? I mean, actually, Demon Slayer I'd say is more like Hunter x Hunter, but either way, either way,
yeah, the format of Demon Slayer, I think there's just one overarching antagonist for the entire story, even if they
yeah,
change arcs, right?
yeah.
Unlike Yu Yu Hakusho, every arc is a different villain.
Well, same thing with JJK to a degree, right? There's an overarching villain, Ghetto. Same thing.
Yeah,
The
I
villain doesn't
think
necessarily change.
do you
In
think the
fact,
storytelling, the
you could
storytelling
say Yu Yu
for
Hakusho has one main villain, and it's the guy that I was talking about, the guy who's rich. He is essentially the main villain of the show. It's just he
died early.
does his shit vicariously through other people.
He just died early, right?
Yeah,
He was basically just a catalyst for the rest of the things to actually happen.
yeah.
Never thought of it that way, but it's a good point actually. It's the first time I've actually seen a main villain actually die
I
off.
you know, it's funny because a lot of people don't really talk about that character, but I and it especially for a show about demons and scary shit, and it's just some rich human who's like the main bad guy. So maybe not the main bad guy, but you know what I mean. Like
He never
it's
felt like
really
a
kind of profound in a way. Like I don't know, it's like almost like a statement. Kind of like how the Witcher has the statement of some of the worst, some of the worst. Like in The Witcher, you're seeing all these crazy monsters and shitty things, but some of the worst characters in The Witcher are the humans, are the people, and that's like the point. Like some of the most monstrous things in the world are the humans around you. I think similarly, Yu Yu Hakusho has like a very similar point with its main villain being a human, a rich guy who kind of can just do whatever he wants, really get away with whatever he wants.
I think that's the reason why I gravitated towards Yu Yu Hakusho because I was really young back then. It was the first time that I seen animation that actually depicted this kind of maturity when it comes to
Yeah.
handling like human brutality,
Yep.
morals. Like this is the very first media that was catering to my age that wasn't actually pandering
Yep.
to what was typically being shown. Like cartoons need to be humorous, need to be lighthearted. No, it could actually show reality, although in a fantastical manner. To a degree, it was actually marketed. I don't know if it was marketed to a much younger age in your country, but to us here, it was actually marketed to what towards 6, 7, 8 year
What,
olds.
Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how old I was. I mean, what you said it came out. Well, yeah, it came out in
I,
'92.
I was what
I mean,
years old back then.
it's a year old. It's a year older than me. Trying to think. Like, I really don't. I was probably like, I want to say like 9, maybe. Like when I first started watching it. Who knows? Like, you know what I mean? It was like, who knows how old I was? But I mean, back then I was watching all kinds of different. There's a there's an anime that I watched back then that like no one talks about. We could probably talk about this next episode or the one
Okay,
after or whatever. Um, Cyborg 009. I'm sure you've heard of it, right?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it. This came out the same year.
That's Yeah. I mean, I watched it when I was a kid. I remember vividly because I was like kind of maybe not obsessed with it, but I remember my dad got me like a couple of those toys. Um,
Hmm.
you can't even find them anymore. I was like, damn, like what did I do with those toys like that I had of Cyborg 009? Like and we're coming up, funny enough, coming up on the 30th anniversary of that too. So
Really?
another show that's just as old as me, and it's still got legs to a degree. I mean, it's not as good as Yu Yu Hakusho, nowhere near as good as Yu Yu Hakusho, but Cyborg 009 is still pretty fun. I don't know if I'd watch it nowadays. I don't know.
I think I
I
kind
don't
of
know.
remember this one. Is this the
But it's
one? Yeah,
still
that's the one with the
there's
big
a
butts.
movie. There's like Cyborg 009 versus Devilman or something. There's a couple Netflix movies. They're bad. I think they're not good. But the original show, absolute fire. And so Cyborg 009 is about like a group of robots. They all have special abilities, kind of like Yu Yu Hakusho, or they all have different things that like special things that they can do.
Yeah.
And it's literally just them trying to get away from just live a safe life, like away from because they're used as weapons and they don't want to do that anymore. So that's kind of the premise, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've seen that, but yeah, I think
So
like Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, Cyborg 009, those are like what got me into anime when I was a kid. And
those,
Inuyasha is another one. I really want to read Inuyasha, but that's so long.
those are very different genres that you actually gravitated towards.
Yeah. Oh,
So you,
Rurouni Kenshin. I think I brought that up earlier. Rurouni Kenshin.
thank
Didn't
you for
really get
giving
into
me more.
Cowboy Bebop until like later in my life.
Well, regarding the Netflix thing, we can only hope this turns out good. Well,
Yeah.
they're not releasing a lot of information regarding it. Like it's gonna
I mean, I'm
be
sure, like I said, I'm sure it's, it'll be okay. I think it'll be all right. I don't know if it's gonna be perfect. I don't think it's gonna be One Piece level. I do not think it'll be One Piece level. But given the fact that it's kind of marketed and produced by Japanese people, I think it'll have a good how do I say this? Like it'll be good. I think it'll be good. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not like super optimistic, but I think it's in the right hands, is what I mean.
if we have any audiences from Japan, just wondering, could you put in a comment that this is actually marketed in your country differently from how it's being marketed in the West? Because that's the thing,
Yeah.
right? In terms of production, they know their audience. And if it's
Yep.
not going to be in the West, it's a different type of marketing in the East.
Yep.
So yeah, this has been a very long episode. It's been a good retrospective.
Has it? Has it been long?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
Yu Yu
well,
Hakusho is good.
yeah, it is. I think it defined an entire generation, at least for me, for the kids in my country. It defined our generation when it comes to anime. Like a lot of kids actually forgot what anime they actually watched in the 90s, but I can't
Mm.
remember I can't remember anyone forgetting Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah.
Some of them can actually quote lines
Agreed.
from that were
Yeah.
dubbed in our language. So yeah, so basically we're at the end, and we would like to thank everyone that actually joined us for this long
Yeah.
ass
I'm
episode. I hope
curious, leave a comment. Let me know what was your favorite like character, favorite scene, favorite moment. Did you read the manga? Did you watch the show? Like, let us know. Let us know.
yeah, thank you for joining us in this very special episode of Made in Japan. Like, thank you for sticking with us. I think throughout this long episode,
Yeah.
and we hope you'll watch us again next week. I'm glad Ryan gave me homework regarding. And for
But
those that know the anime, what was it called? Cyborg.
Cyborg 009.
Please comment below if you actually watch it and what's your take on it. We would love to hear from you. And
Yeah.
once again, I'm Christian, and with me is Ryan, and we'll see you again next week.